What is self-regulated learning? Self-regulated learning is an umbrella term that has been used to describe successful learning. In short, self-regulated learning theory is aiming to show how humans learn in the best possible way in different learning contexts, by reaching simultaneously good learning results and be motivated and not experiencing too much stress and anxiety. But how does the self-regulated learner look in practice? Let's have a look. This is Anne. Anne is a university student. But before Anne can graduate, there is a big, scary boogeyman that Anne needs to defeat. Her master thesis. Luckily, Anne is a self-regulated learner, and she knows that in order to win this battle, she needs to lead her own learning process and be aware of her own behavior and learning activities. Self-regulated learning can be defined as an active, constructive, and goal-directed process where learners monitor, regulate, and control their cognition, motivation, emotions, and behavior, guided and constrained by their goals and the contextual features in the environment. So let's have a closer look at this definition. So in self-regulated learning, learner is seen as an active agent that takes charge of her own learning process, which is guided by the goals set by the learner. When the learner takes actively charge of her own learning, it means that she can first of all plan, then monitor, and also control her own learning process. Regulation can be targeted to students' cognition, motivation, emotions, or behavior. Self-regulated learning can be seen as a cyclical phenomenon where learning can be described through different phases. Zimmerman's SRL model is one of the well-known SRL models. In the Zimmerman's model, learning is described through three phases: forethought, performance, and reflection. From the practical point of view, this means that at the beginning of the learning in the forethought phase, self-regulated students are preparing themselves for working and to learn new things. This means that at first, the students are getting to know the learning tasks and forming the understanding about the tasks we are having. In the forethought phase, students are creating achievable goals and a clear step-by-step plan to reach the set goals. This phase is important for learning as the set goals and clear targets are great drivers for our motivation as well. Let's see how Anne is doing with her master thesis. Anne is now motivated since she has a clear goal in her mind. In order to make step-by-step plan on how to achieve her goal, Anne tries to form an accurate task understanding. First, she decides to carefully read the instructions for the master thesis. Then she sets some sub-goals. First, for example, she decides to complete her literature review during the first month. She also plans strategies that she will use to achieve her goals. For example, she decides to ask help from the library to find the best way to do the literature review. She also aims to make the task more motivating and interesting by choosing the topic that she is highly interested in. While Anne is getting to work, let's have a look at the SRL cycle again. After the goals and plans are created, we are moving to the performance phase. During this phase, students are using different learning strategies to guide their working, but also monitoring and controlling their cognition, motivation, and emotions. While working, students might face a lot of different challenges that are testing their learning strategies, motivation, and emotions. During this phase, it is important to recognize these different challenging learning situations so that you can get over them and continue your work. Let's see how Anne is doing with her masterpiece. Anne is progressing smoothly with her literature, but all of a sudden her computer crashes and she loses some text she has been written. How can she regulate her emotions and what strategies she can use to overcome the challenge? As a self-regulated learner, Anne knows how to regulate her emotions. First, she calms herself down by thinking that it wasn't her fault and she has been wise because she has been taking backups of her project. Next, she adapts her strategies and decides to head to the library to finish the work. Reflection phase is placed at the end of the learning process. During this phase, we are evaluating how well we have reached our learning goals and plans we created at the forethought phase. The reflection at this phase can be targeted at least to two different things. First, you can reflect your learning outcomes, the actual product of your work. For example, how well it is corresponding to the instructions you got at the beginning. Second, we can also reflect our strategic activities, which led us to some certain results. For example, what helped you to reach the learning outcomes? How were you working? What strategies were you using? And which methods worked and which not? Especially the second one is important for our self-regulated learning skills development. Looking back to our learning process, we can learn something from our current way of regulated learning and adapt that information later on when we are working with the other tasks. In other words, it is offering us the possibility to learn from our mistakes and be more successful in the future. During this process, we need motivation, the fuel of our learning. Motivation keeps us motivated and persistent in different situations. A talented self-regulated learner can regulate her motivational stages, but also emotions during the learning process. This is helping her to reach her goals. If you want to learn more, you can check this article.